Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to DFEND 3.0. This is our kickoff meeting. I'm going to give a brief introduction about what DFEND 3 will be and the option to participate in the study, which will be part of Emma, who you'll be receiving emails from, her master's thesis. And I'll answer any questions you have about the study or DFEND 3 itself. And then Erin, Howie, Hickey will present on the first topic. So welcome again. DFEND 3, the topic is Healthier Habits, Healthier You, Implementing Behavior Change for Health and Well-Being. And the idea with DFEND 3 was to really stem from DFEND 1 and DFEND 2, where we talked a lot about nutrition and physical activity knowledge. And now talking about behavior change, how do we actually implement the knowledge we gained in our daily lives? So for those of you who already signed up for either the newsletter or the study using your UAX email address, we will switch it in our own listserv to UADA, so you don't need to re-register or re-sign up. We'll take care of that for you. So the primary investigators for this study are myself, Jamie Baum, and Dr. Erin Howie Hickey. And the project manager is Emma Hendy. You'll receive a lot of emails from her, or at least weekly emails from Emma, and this is part of her master's thesis research. Oops. So again, for those of you who are new to DFEND, it stands for Diet, Food, Exercise, and Nutrition During Social Distancing. We started almost a year ago or 9 months ago as a way to bring people together within the state of Arkansas and larger community to learn more about food, exercise, health, and maybe help people dispel some of the myths they read online. This is our third installment, and the focus this time is nutrition, physical activity, health, and behavior change, and below is our website. So the main purpose of the research part of this DFEND 3 is to learn more about the effect of behavioral nutrition and physical activity education and goal setting on personal health goals using online lectures, virtual coaches, and social media. So what is new with DFEND 3 that we haven't offered before? Well, there's free weekly sessions with experts starting on Monday. So there's a Zoom link for each expert on the DFEND website. And you shouldn't have to register. You can just click on the Zoom link and ask questions. This is to help personalize and tailor the experience to meet your needs and your goals that you want to set for yourself. So on Mondays, the will have an expert in exercise and physical activity. Tuesdays, you can ask questions about nutrition with a registered dietitian. And Thursdays, we'll have an expert in behavior and psychology. And we're adding weekly challenges. So if you're in the study, you'll be asked to join our private Facebook group, or you can participate via email, or you can participate through our website. The challenges will also be posted there. So there are two options for participating in DFEND 3. Join and participate in our research study, and the deadline to sign up is next Friday, February 19th, or just participate in all the aspects without participating in the research. It isn't too late to sign up, and it's open to pretty much everyone who wants to participate, as long as they're over the age of 18, live in Arkansas, and have access to internet, email, and or Facebook. And to participate, you'll need to fill out the consent form, which can be found on the upper right-hand side of the website. And we'll post these slides on our website for you to access after the call. So again, how do you qualify? You just need to be over 18, live in Arkansas, and have access to internet and Facebook and email. And we encourage you to have colleagues, friends, family sign up. You'll just be asked to attend our weekly educational sessions, either live on Fridays at noon or the recordings on the YouTube channel. Attend personalized weekly question and answer sessions with our personalized coaches. And then in order to receive compensation, which is $75 Walmart gift card, you need to complete 16 of the 18 weekly challenges. And then you have to complete the 3 DFEND surveys at the beginning, the middle, and end of the program. So the study will last about 20 weeks. I think it's more like 19 weeks because we were a week late in getting started. You're probably spend around 1 to 2 hours on the study if you include the 30-minute classes on Friday and then participating in the weekly challenges. And some weeks there may be an additional 10 to 15 minutes for reading emails and social media in the weeks you have to take the survey. So this is just, again, the time commitment. Like we said before, the Friday educational sessions at noon, the weekly health and behavior challenges, will go into each challenge at the end of the Friday session, and then it will be posted in Facebook and emailed to you as well as on our website. Again, our personalized coaches will be available from 12 to 1 Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, each with a different topic. And if you can't make these times, you can always email me and we can try to see if one of our coaches can be available to you separately. And then taking these 3 assessments. Again, the things highlighted in red are what are required to receive compensation. So the benefits of participating in the research study is that you have the opportunity to meet weekly for free with a registered dietitian and nutrition specialist, a behavioral expert and physical activity expert to really personalize your experience in meeting your personal goals, and a compensation of the Walmart gift card. And we will mail those to you. So once you've completed the study, we'll have you fill out a form and then we'll send it to you in the mail. So let's just meet the team. It's myself here with my little boy, Dr. Howie Hickey, Emma. Our personalized coaches are Bryce Daniels, Jamie McDermott, and Danielle Higuera. And then we have a lot of content contributors. So we're trying to have our weekly YouTube videos and fast facts reflect not only the content that we're teaching each Friday, but address some of the topics we never got to make videos for in DFEND 1 or 2. So we have Keely Legron, again, Emma, Zach, and Lily. And Lily is a new type of expertise to our team because she is a senior in food science and the culinary arts. So she spent her first 2 years at the U of A in culinary school. So she will help us with recipe development. And with that, I will exit and I can quickly, it may be best to answer questions related to the study, or Dr. Howie, do you want to present first on the topic?
I think we can open it up if anybody has any questions about the study before they forget them.
Yeah. Or you can place it in the chat and we can monitor the chat. And Emma has posted the website, the assessment link, the consent form link, and the YouTube channel in the chat. But you can always email me. We had 3 informational sessions last week, but if you want to talk one-on-one in the next week with either Dr. Howie, Hickey, or myself, we can.
Do you want to let the team who's here introduce themselves?
Oh, yes. Let's do that. So Emma, do you want to start? Because you're the first person I see on my screen.
I think we actually got a question. Did you want to?
Oh, yeah, I'll respond.
Okay. So I'm Emma. I am the student that's working on my thesis, my master's thesis for the DFEND research study. So you'll probably be getting some emails from me with the weekly challenges and weekly reminders. And definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Okay, Jamie.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie. I am the registered dietitian that's going to be in the Q&A for Tuesdays. I'm happy to meet everybody and answer any questions that you have. Please feel free.
Okay, Danielle, I see you next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Danielle. I'm a 6th-year graduate student in the clinical psychology Ph.D. program at the U of A. And I'm going to be the behavior change expert, and we will be holding Q&As on Mondays.
Great. Bryce, I think I saw you next.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Bryce Daniels. I'm a PhD student in exercise science. I'll be holding my session on Thursdays to answer any physical activity or exercise questions.
Great. And I don't see the other content contributors on the call. Keely, Lily, or Zach, are you here? I think they may have class conflicts, which prevents them from calling in some Fridays. Okay, well, we're really excited for this next version of DFEND 3 because you can have the knowledge, but if you don't know how to implement it, does you no good. So anyway, we'll go ahead and Dr. Howie will present on behavior change.
All right, one second. Let me just share my screen with y'all.
And if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat so you don't lose your train of thought, and we'll answer them after.
All right, can you see my screen and hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So what we're just going to talk about briefly today is going to kind of outline what we're doing for DFEND 3.0 and kind of give you a background on why we're doing what we're doing. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about behavior change and some things that determine our behavior. So I was thinking about DFEND 3.0 and, you know, why did we decide to focus on behavior change? And this quote always comes into my head. I can't remember who told me it, and there's no direct quote in the, if you Google it, but learning has occurred when a change in behavior can be observed. So DFEND 1.0 and DFEND 2.0 were a lot of content, a lot of information about basic nutrition. So, you know, what's a protein? Why is it important? What are the physical activity recommendations? But to actually learn that stuff, we need to start putting it into action. And so it is kind of the definition of learning. This is really long, but it does support this idea that to actually learn something, we have to change our behavior. But changing our behavior isn't so easy. And, you know, it's February now, so it's about that time when we reflect on our New Year's resolutions, and maybe we've started to fall off the wagon. And here in Arkansas, it's really cold this week. Weather is pretty miserable, but you're not the only ones. If you find yourself struggling, there is some research, I think it's interesting research showing, you know, how people kind of start to trail off pretty quickly with their new resolutions. It's a new study that came out in December, and they were just interested looking at Google searches for recipes for particular weight loss diets. So here in this picture, we can see they looked at Weight Watchers, paleo, low carb diets, and low fat diets. And they pulled them all together over multiple years. And they found that from January, basically up until April, there was this really steep decline in people's interest in these new diet weight loss recipes. And it reflects this idea of, you know, New Year's resolutions don't really last. But in the scheme of things, New Year's resolutions really are just behavior change and trying to figure out how we can instill these healthy habits and keep them going. So there is some science behind behavior change, and a lot of people have spent a lot of time trying to figure out why we do what we do. And we want to understand that so we can hopefully change what we do. And I teach some physical activity classes in our department, and we talk about theory. And I will be the first to admit that theory is my least favorite topic that we talk about. I find it very boring and out there, philosophical. I'm an exercise scientist, so I like the hard facts, and sometimes it's a little bit out there for me. But as I tell my students, theory is really important because it does help us understand what we do and give us some background. So when we're trying to do things, we're not starting from scratch. So what I'm going to do now is just briefly talk about some of the maybe most common behavior change theories. And not, you know, it's not important to remember the theory, and we don't necessarily apply it to our own personal behavior change, but it is going to frame some of the topics that we're going to talk about in DFEND 3.0. So one of the more common and earlier theories is called the social cognitive theory. And I searched these in Google Scholar just really quickly to give you an idea of how popular they are. I think my most popular paper that I've published has maybe 100 citations if I'm lucky. So you'll see that all of these have been used a lot more than my not quite as exciting research. So Albert Bandura was the first one to kind of propose this idea of social cognitive theory. And the main concept we'll talk about later in DFEND 3.0 is self-efficacy. And we find that if you have high self-efficacy to do a behavior, whether it's to participate in a walk every day at lunch, or maybe it's to drink more water, we're much more likely to persist in that behavior. So for example, I've already talked about the terrible weather because I'm sitting here by the window. If you have high self-efficacy to go for a walk, something like a little ice or 16-degree weather won't keep you from going for that walk, because you'll put on some extra layers, maybe put on your face mask outside, because one good thing about them is they keep your face warm, and you'll still be able to get that physical activity in. And again, it starts to think about this idea of that we have our own behavioral factors, but there's these other things that may also influence our behavior. And this is going to be a common theme throughout these theories and also through DFEND 3.0. So we have some environmental factors, I think, is one of the key things that was introduced with social cognitive theory, because we don't always have complete control of our behavior. A lot of parents are dealing with kids who are out of school for COVID or weather-related reasons, and so that might stop you from doing what you had planned on doing. Another popular theory is the trans-theoretical model. And the idea behind this one is that there's some stages of change. And I'll go to the next slide because it puts them into a nice figure. And so we start with this pre-contemplation. So probably, I would say everyone on this call is not in pre-contemplation in general, because you have made the step to join at least this call for DFEND 3.0. So you've at least been thinking about some type of behavior change. And the next one is contemplation. So you're thinking about maybe, yeah, I want to lose weight, or I want to be more physically active, but I don't really have a plan. The next step is making that plan. And so maybe you buy a gym membership, or maybe you buy a Peloton or a much cheaper version like myself. And then the next phase is this action phase, which we're actually doing the behavior, sustaining it over time into maintenance. But the important thing to remember, I think, from this theory is that this is a circle. It's not a linear progression. We do have relapses. We may go between stages. We might buy a gym membership, but then not actually ever go to the gym. And so it's an ongoing journey that we're in to try and get to this maintenance stage where we're regularly participating in these healthy behaviors. We have planned behavior. I included this one because it gets at the ideas of attitudes and intentions. So a lot of us, if we work backwards in this figure, so we have our intended behavior we want to do at the end there on the right. And at some point in that behavior, we intend to do that behavior. So some intention when we wake up in the morning to make a healthy breakfast, for example. There's sometimes some things that can get in the way of this intention to behavior. But you can see on the left hand of the screen, there's a lot of other things that influence our intentions. Things like attitudes, subjective norms. So this gets at the idea of, what do people around you do? What does your family normally have for breakfast? Do your coworkers have breakfast, or do they bring donuts and leave them in the office kitchen? And your perceived control. So kind of balancing those two things together. And so there's lots of things we can do to change our attitudes and hopefully our intentions to get to the behavior we want. Self-determination theory, I guess this is one of my favorites. I can't say I have a favorite theory, but one that I have used in the past, and it's revolves around our idea that we have three basic needs to support a behavior. Autonomy. So that is the idea that we have a choice. And so when we go through DFEND 3.0, we're not going to tell you what you need to do. You're going to set your own goals and pick which behaviors you want to focus on. The idea of relatedness. We as humans generally like at least some human interaction. It's been a bit of a struggle in the past year and how we get that. But the idea of this DFEND community, so you're not in this alone. You can talk to experts, you can talk to each other, really to support each other. And the idea of competence. So this is where kind of having the experts, having all the content available to you from DFEND 1 and 2, so that you know about basic nutrition and physical activity, what you should be doing, and some tips on how we can change our behavior. And also this idea of motivation. So I'll talk about that coming up, but again, just emphasizing that we have these 3 needs. And so through DFEND 3.0, I will be trying to target them and support you in those 3 areas. So our motivation, it's not so simple as you're motivated or you're not motivated. You may heard of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So extrinsic motivation is motivation that's coming from outside yourself. We use this a lot of time, maybe with kids or some students. So my undergraduate students, their motivation to come to class is usually to get a good grade. Although some of them do have some intrinsic motivation. Or you might use it for a kid, maybe they're going to get a shot and they get a sticker or a lollipop afterwards. Sometimes we often use food as a form of intrinsic motivation. So if you get to go to the gym, maybe you get to get that hot chocolate mocha latte with whipped cream afterwards. So extrinsic motivation can be a useful tool to get somebody started. And there's different strategies on how we can use healthy forms of extrinsic motivation. But ultimately, we want to move more towards intrinsic motivation and finding things that we enjoy because we value them. And we just find activities and foods that we like. So it doesn't feel like a chore necessarily what we're doing. So like I said, we've used some of these theories in the past, and my research mostly is with kids and physical activity. So in the SHAPE study, it was with preschoolers, and we use some social cognitive theory to help build teachers, preschool teachers, self-efficacy so they could have active classrooms. CAP was with teenagers, adolescents, and their parents. So a whole nother dimension of trying to get teens and parents to talk to each other. But this was all around self-determination theory. So really supporting kids, teens' autonomy to make healthy choices. And then here at the University of Arkansas, we've done Razor Walk, which was a walking intervention with either virtual or in-person social support. And the idea, again, with that relatedness and social support to help each other be physically active. There is kind of one more sort of theory, but I kind of call it the kitchen sink model. And this is too important, I think, is important to remember because a lot of times when we talk about behavior change, we focus on the individual. So maybe you're not motivated or maybe you're lazy. Those are probably the 2 most common things we hear when people are having problems changing their behavior. But you're not existing by yourself, right? You have your family, your friends, your coworkers who either support you in your health behaviors or maybe make it a little bit more difficult. So if your husband is cooking dinner every night and he makes fried chicken every night, that's going to make it more difficult for you to eat healthy. We also have organizations that we're in. So it could be a church providing food. It could be your workplace, all sorts of organizations that support us. Our communities, so we're here in Northwest Arkansas. We have some good things in terms of our community, like farmers markets and the trail system, which also get into our public policy. So actually, have in how we can build zoning so we can make sure we have sidewalks to walk safely, or we have trails, or maybe that we don't put a convenience store or a fast food restaurant right next to a school. So kind of those big policy ideas. And all of these things around us influence our behavior. So when we find that behavior change is hard, we don't always have to just blame ourselves, which I think sometimes people will do. So this is the same thing that I just talked about, some examples. And like Dr. Baum said, we'll have these slides posted on the website. So with all of these theories and these abstract constructs, there are some really tangible strategies for change. And this is just a little table with some of them in here that we're going to be talking about during DFEND 3.0. So you don't necessarily need to read them. I know they're pretty small, but I've summarized the ones that we'll be focusing on for DFEND 3.0. So we're going to talk about motivation, like we talked about intrinsic, extrinsic motivation, goal setting, tracking our behavior and getting feedback, role modeling, mindfulness, social support, self-efficacy, and then also some of those bigger influences and how maybe we can understand them and maybe start to work within them to help our positive behavior change. So our social influences, environments, availability and accessibility of healthy foods and activity, different policies that exist where we are, as well as different communication networks. So we have a lot of experts lined up to talk about these different topics throughout the next 19 weeks or so, and hopefully to give you some of those tools to support you in whichever behavior changes you want to make. So that's a little bit of the background on what we're going to be talking about and maybe why we'll be talking about it. But if you have any questions, either now we can open it up, or feel free to contact us over the next 19 weeks.
And Erin, if you can stop sharing, I also wanted to show the website because I think it's confusing where you go to sign the consent form versus, let me open it here, the survey.
Phil agrees.
Yes. And
one of the Phils.
You are not the only one. What is happening here? Hold on, let me close this and start again. Okay. Can you all see the website now?
Yes.
Okay. So I have to give kudos to the Division of Ag IT for setting this up in, I think, 48 hours before we launched. So on the right-hand side where it says sign up for the DFEND study, if you want to participate in the research side of the study, this is where you'll need to start. You'll see a link here, DFEND 3 consent form. It will take you to a Qualtrics survey, which explains the study in detail, what you'll be asked to do, and then allows you to put your name and your email address consenting to participate. And you can download the PDF to keep for your records. Below that is the newsletter. So if you don't want to participate in the study, but you want to stay in the loop and attend the calls and have access to the other parts of DFEND, you can sign up for the newsletter. You don't need to sign up for both. You can if you want, but we will, you'll get similar information each week. So it will reduce the number of emails you have. Then once you've consented, you come over to the left side of the page. Well, you're all here now, so you know you register for the Friday sessions, and we made it this session, you only have to register once, and then you can access all of the presentation, or all of the Friday sessions. You don't have to register every Friday. And then underneath, you'll see take the pre-study assessment. So that's where you'll find this survey. And I can ask him to change that color so it's more prominent on the screen. And then if you want to find all of the information we presented in DFEND 1 or 2, you'll click on the previous DFEND series, and you'll find, I think we had, between DFEND 1 and 2, we generated over 300 different pieces of information that you can find on that website. And then if you scroll down again, you'll find the links to registration, our Facebook page for those of you participating in the study, and also then the links to the calls for Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And we'll send you a reminder on Monday. And then you can also find a link to our YouTube channel where you'll find all the sessions that have been recorded as well as the demos. And where you see these tabs, we'll be populating that with the slides, our fast facts, which are summaries, written summaries of topics, the challenges, any recipes that Lily comes up with, etc. And then below that is the agenda for this DFEND 3 series. So you'll be able to see the topic that's going to be discussed, the challenge, which I'll show you this week's challenge in a second. I forgot to add it to the slide. And then what are the demos that are going to be? And all of the slides, lectures, and demos should be posted by the Monday following our Friday calls. And then if you want to learn more about the team members, everyone's put a little bio by their photo and the goals that they want to achieve also by participating in DFEND 3.0. And then finally, I'll share this week's challenge. One sec. And Emma will also, if she hasn't done so already, send this out and it will get posted today. So week 1 challenge is just pick a behavior you'd like to change this week related to sleep, nutrition, exercise, or health in general. So it can be anything from like less screen time, go to bed earlier, eat more fruits and veggies, and share and comment. So if you're participating in the study, comment under this photo on our Facebook page about what behavior you're going to focus on changing. Or if you don't feel comfortable putting it on Facebook, you can email us at defend@uax.edu. So this is this week's challenge, and most of our challenges are pretty simple. So you can see if that's one of the things that's deterring you from participating. This week, it's just pick one behavior and try changing it. And then next week, we'll focus on setting our personal goals. And then we just focus on trying to meet our goals and different behavioral activities to improve overall health. So they shouldn't be too invasive into your weekly schedule. So that being said, does anyone have any questions, comments? Well, I think we have a good turnout, so we really appreciate everyone's interest. And again, it's not too late to have people sign up. I think we're going to take people all the way through next Friday, and they can just double up on the challenge for next week. What's the face group called? I think it's DFEND 3.